You're now tuning into
The Cover Gang.
What's going on, Cover Gang? It is week 2 of the NFL season, and me and Justin are here to give you our picks on all of the early games, all of the 1 o'clock Eastern Time games. If you watched our last episode, we've already gave you our Thursday night pick. We are recording right now before the game sets off. Me and Justin both took the Vikings plus 7.5. Hopefully you grabbed it there because it's dropped down to 6 points at this point. So still probably would take Minnesota there, but we locked it in at 7.5, so we're feeling pretty good about it. Justin, if you want to go ahead and give us the first game we're going to be covering, I'll give my take. We'll go back and forth.
Yeah, man. In general, my strategy for this whole week is just to play the bounce back, bet the overreaction and these line movements.
Don't overreact.
First up, we got the Chiefs at the Jaguars. Liked it a lot where it opened up at -2.5, but it's made its way to 3.5. So I locked it in at -3. 3.5's tough, but I would still lean Chiefs in this one. So I think it's a good bounce back spot for Mahomes and the boys. So let me know where you're at on this one.
Yeah, you and everybody else. Public is coming in heavy on the Chiefs here. Mahomes, anytime you can get them at a field goal or less, you take them. That's what I did. It opened up at 2.5. I grabbed it. It's made it up to 3.5. And with Kelsey, he's going to play, so I could see it going even to that 4 number, in which I would not take it, or I'd stay away from the game entirely. I've already locked into the Chiefs at -3, but even with the hook, I don't love it as much. If any, the Chiefs is my pick, but it's not something I'm putting a lot on. What I've already put on the 3 is there because it's not going back down towards that 3. If anything, it's going up.
Yeah, I agree. Not much to say on this one. It's just the bounce back, and it's the Chiefs. Like you say, we're on the public side, but I do think it is the right side. So moving on.
Yeah, Mahomes wins close games, so the more that, and it's in Jacksonville, public is hammering it. I understand they've had extra time, but it's just Trevor Lawrence. If you keep giving him a half a point,
Hopefully,
I'd stay away.
Hopefully, it's not Kadarius Toney in those clutch spots trying to catch the ball, because that's really what lost them the game. So, yeah, moving on to this next one, we got the Raiders at the Bills. Same kind of concept for me. I mean, the line opened, I think, at 8 and made its way up to about 9.5. It's been in between 8.5 to 9 recently. So, for me, this is another bounce back play. I'm taking the Bills. It's a pretty easy decision. There's nothing special that I see about the Raiders that the Bills can't cover this number for many reasons. But playing against the Broncos that well, that doesn't mean anything to me because the Broncos are horrible. And I think this is a must-win for the Bills, and I think they get right for sure in this one.
Yeah, Raiders divisional win, feeling good about themselves. This is a perfect spot to take Josh Allen to bounce back. Usually when Josh Allen, some statistic that when he wins, he at least wins by a touchdown. So before the Bills lost Monday night to the Jets, they were a 10-point favorite. People overreacted. It went down to 8.5. Now you're seeing it stay around 8.5, that 9 number. I would definitely take the Bills here. Like I see it a 38-17 type game. I think that Bills defense will really be able to generate a pass rush on Jimmy Garoppolo, and you gotta kind of hope that Jimmy makes it through the game. He had the backup had to come in for a little bit against Denver last week. So yeah, overreaction on. This is not Josh Allen back at Wyoming. He struggles against the Jets. I was on the Jets. That's why I went 9-7, and Justin went 8-8 last week because we differed on that game. But anyways, we're both on the Bills here on the right side. I agree. Josh Allen bounce back.
Yeah, this next game too. I don't really have much to say. It was a tough game to decide. It's the Ravens at the Bengals. Once again, these first 3 and these early games late, I don't have many points to make except that they're great teams and you just take them to bounce back. The spread adjusted down a little bit for their mishaps in week 1, and I think you're getting a good price at Joe Burrow, -3. It's made its way to -3.5. I locked it in at -3. I would still take -3.5 in this matchup because that was a horrible showing, and the Ravens versus the Texans, they did not prove to me that, that they're a great team with that new offensive scheme yet. Lamar Jackson struggled against that Texans defense, which we don't know to be very well. So I'm taking Joe Burrow to cover the -3, and that's pretty much it for me.
Something's going on in this game. So, yeah, you're right. It opened up initially. It was the overreaction to Joe Burrow and the Bengals playing so bad against the Browns last week, like we called. But then it went to the three number, jumped up to 3.5, and the public is on the Ravens side, even though they're banged up, and it's went back down to the 3. So something is going on, and I think it has something to do with Joe's leg that it's in practice he's just not as mobile. They're worried about him. I don't know. The Ravens weren't able to generate much of a pass rush on C.J. Stroud last week with the Texans, so I wouldn't. It's a tough divisional game. I'm going to take the hook and the points with the Ravens. Like I said, it is the public side, but for it to come back down to 3 worries me. So I'm going to take the Ravens here. So we disagree.
Yeah, yeah. This one, it's pulling hairs. It's really close because I mean it's a division game. In most cases, I would lean Ravens, but especially since it's the highest bet percentage, one of the higher bet percentage games, Ravens are like receiving 75% of the bet, so I'm just gonna stick with the Bengals. But
Lamar is 18-3 against the spread when he's an underdog. Joe Burrow has a good, but he's the favorite here. So they started off 0-2 last year, and he was coming off an injury. I'm not saying Ravens pull the upset here, but if you give me the hook in a divisional game when these are always end up being low scoring, comes down to the wire type of games, I'm going to take the points, even with the banged up Ravens team.
Moving on to the next one, we got the Chargers at the Titans. Home dogs. This is the recipe. Mike Vrabel plus 3.5. I think it's at 3 or 2.5 now. I liked it in at 3.5. Public side is the Chargers. A lot of people, think that the way the Chargers played the Dolphins is enough to cover the spread on the road as favorites in this game. Well, I think not. I think you take the value and take the Titans at home as underdogs.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite bets of the week is taking the Titans in this spot. Coaching mismatch. And I said this about Trevor Lawrence last year for those who listened when we were just on Spotify and, the other podcast platforms. It was like Trevor Lawrence, he's got to start winning these games. Justin Herbert has got to start putting these games away.
I agree
It's
with
becoming
that.
an issue.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson, he has Doug Peterson in his corner, so it makes it easier. Kellen Moore, second week there. I mean, it's hard to knock a Charger team that just put up 34 points, but Justin Herbert had the ball in his hands
Yet again.
to go down and score and win the game, and yet again he failed.
He failed me.
Just like last year in the playoffs. So I see this coming down to the fourth quarter. The weakness of this Chargers team is run defense. Obviously, Derrick Henry. And like I said, it's a coaching mismatch, and you're giving me a home dog. So yeah, +3, I'm taking Titans all day.
Next up, we got the Seahawks at the Lions. This is a heavy public dog. We got 60-some% of the bets coming in on the Seahawks at 5.5. It's moved down to 4.5. What's your take on this one?
This is a pros and Joes on the same side. So public and all the money is coming on Seattle. It opened up at 6 and it's worked its way down to 4.5. You can still get it at 5 in most places. So I would take Seattle. I'm not going against it. They should bounce back here. Lions have had a few extra days because they played in the first game of the year, that Thursday night game. But Seattle, they looked horrible last week. Pete Carroll, I think, will have his team ready to go on the road and at least put up a fight. I mean, last week they didn't show up to play at all. So when you get embarrassed like that, I like the comeback story as one of these games coming up too. So yeah, give me Seattle on the points, even though it is definitely the public side.
Yeah, they were definitely, I think we dubbed them the most disappointing team in week 1. It is the public side, so I'm sticking with the regular unit because I feel like we seen this last year with the Seahawks team. They would get pro and Joe money, and sometimes they wouldn't cover that number. So be careful with your unit size on this one.
I'm putting a normal unit on it too, just because it is the public side. But I can't take the Lions in this spot. The overvalue beating the Chiefs.
Next up, we got the Colts at the Texans, division rival, battle of the rookie quarterbacks. Line has swung with both teams being a 1.5 favorite at some point. For me, I'm taking the home team in this division battle. I locked it in at +1, but I would still take it at -1, -1.5. It's not really that big a difference. It's just take the money line if you feel like it as well.
Yeah, this one's kind of sucks for me. I want to take the Colts, but I'm not going to.
After watching
It's
Anthony Richardson, I don't blame you, honestly. Like, I feel
I
like
want
that's
to take Shane
everybody's
Steichen
gut
and
reaction is like
Anthony.
Colts.
Yeah, but that's what everybody's
Mm-hmm.
and Houston didn't look bad in the opener. I mean, they couldn't score.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're playing in Baltimore, first game of CJ's career, so I get it, but that's what I'm saying. All this hype coming in on Anthony Richardson, and they almost beat Jacksonville. It's just if this play went their way, this play went their way, they take down the Jags. But you got to take the home dog. Like you said, they've moved to a 1 point favorite. I think some of the pros have came in and grabbed the good numbers, but you just yeah, I'm pulling for the Colts and I'm betting the Texans. So it's something I'm only putting like a half a unit on because I really would like to see Anthony Richardson and Shane Steichen go out there and take down a defensive coach and CJ Stroud. But
That's a bit of a conflict of
it's
interest, don't you think?
yeah, I wish I didn't have subjectivity sometimes, but
Honestly, if it was Colts +3, it's like I'm taking that, no doubt.
oh yeah, 100%.
But
But
they're not
no,
going to
it's
give us that.
they, sh- they Houston should be favored by 2.5 at least right here, and they're only favored by a point. So Houston's the side.
Definitely. Next up, we got the Packers at the Falcons. This was one of our sleeper teams, the Packers. Everybody forgets about the Packers because Aaron leaves town, but hey, like we said, week 1 they smashed, and then this week though, I'm coming in with the reverse Uno card. I love the pack in week 1, but I'm gonna flip, take the Falcons +1 early in the week is where I got it. Right now, same situation, has them as favorites, and it keeps moving. I think it's almost at 2 now, which is insane because I thought it would stop at 1, 1.5, but it just keeps going. I would take the Falcons, but it's if it gets to 3, I mean, which I don't think it will, I would probably lean Pack. I mean,
Well, I took Atlanta as a dog earlier in the week too. So, but I would still take. You can get them at 1.5 right now. So I would still take Atlanta to cover that. This is what's happened is everybody knew that Christian Watson wasn't playing, but it doesn't look like Aaron Jones is going to be playing in this game. And if you had him in fantasy last week or watched the game, he blew up that Bears defense. So this is just Arthur Smith dialing up that running game, and it's just Jordan Love looked good last week, but you keep taking weapon after weapon away from him. He hasn't had that many career starts, So
the Falcons' defense.
Desmond Ridder versus Jordan Love. We still don't know a whole lot, so I'm just going to rock with the home team that's healthier.
Right. And the Falcons defense is not the Bears defense. They're not porous and soft like that, so they're not going to just let points fly on the board like that. And I think, with your take on the Falcons being the division winners, they can get off to an early 2-0 start right here. Might be tied for number 1 or number 1 outright in their division. So we're banking on the Falcons in this one. Next up, we got the Bears at the Bucks. Last of the early game slate. To me, must-win game for the Bears. It's a weak opponent. There's not many good weak games left in their schedule. If they start 0-2, it's time for them to tank yet again. I loved it at +3. I think it's down to 2.5. I still would take 2.5. I think the Bears is the side. What do you think, man?
100% agree. This desperation game for the Bears. Justin Fields will show up to play. I would bet probably the over on his rushing yards because when he gets in any type of situation, he's gonna be gunning. But Tampa got really we were on Tampa last week. They got really lucky in that game to put Minnesota away. So I think it's a little bit of an overreaction here. This should have been a pick 'em, and you're giving me 2.5 points because everybody's seen how bad the Bears were, and Bucks won last week. When in reality, Bears are a better football team than the Buccaneers. So, and Vegas is still showing you that because it's in Tampa and it's a 2.5 instead of 3. So, but yeah, give me the points and the Bears to bounce back. And Baker Mayfield was kind of a one and done on their season. He won that first game, but they're not going anywhere. Like I said, I think they're tanking in the season. But give me the Bears.
100%. But subscribe and click the bell, turn on the notifications so you're notified whenever we drop a video. If you enjoyed the content, please drop a like on it. It helps us out a lot. Don't forget to tune in to the next video where we drop our predictions for the primetime games. We got a double header for Monday Night Football where we're going to reveal our picks for that. So be sure to check it out, and let's cover the spread, baby. Peace.
Peace.